It's Monday, the 26th of February, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's get cracking with story number 1. 2 of Australia's biggest lenders have downgraded their outlook for house prices this year, just as auction clearance rates stumble, albeit from a high level.
Both National Australia Bank and ANZ have downgraded their house price forecast for Sydney. Both banks expect the increase throughout this year to be between 4 and 5%, for Melbourne 2 to 3%. That's lower than where they had previously forecast, and it's after watching what's happened so far this year. The cities where prices are expected to grow most are Perth, Brisbane and Adelaide. In Perth, both banks are forecasting 10% or more growth, while Brisbane won't be far behind. The worst performer is forecast to be Hobart, which will be lucky to scratch out any price growth, according to the two banks. Later this week, we'll get the February house price figures. It just seems that the increases have come off the boil a little bit, at least in Sydney and Melbourne.
Okay, Sean, just quickly, how were auction results over the weekend?
The preliminary clearance rate across the country came in at 73.5%, down from a peak of 76.2%. Still pretty good, really. After holding above 80% over the past couple of weeks, Sydney was down to 77.3% across 981 auctions, according to CoreLogic. Melbourne's at 70.6%, the lowest so far this year, but still above the levels recorded late last year. Away from those two cities, Brisbane came in at 73%, Adelaide 88%, Canberra 57%. CoreLogic Research Director Tim Lawless said relatively high clearance rates have occurred alongside a consistent rise in auction volumes, 2,775 last week, so things are looking okay.
Sean, on to story number 2, and I love this story. Aspiring university students whose families earn less than $54,000 a year will be guaranteed a place in a degree if they meet admission benchmarks under changes that the government hopes will increase the number of people of working age with a higher qualification.
Education Minister Jason Clare yesterday released the Universities Accord with the goal of doubling the number of university places in the next 25 years, reducing the high fees students pay in some subjects and reforming the HECS loan scheme to ease the financial impact on graduates. The review says high university fees of over $16,000 a year in some fields, humanities, communication, society and culture subjects such as human movement, well, they should be reduced. He wants to turn around entrenched patterns of behaviour that deter students from poorer families in rural and regional areas from going to university. To reduce the risk of dropping out, the reports recommended the creation of more foundation courses to provide students with academic and study skills and boost their literacy and numeracy ability before they actually get on and embark on that degree. It also says additional funding should come with each of these students to ensure they're given support.
Story number 3, office vacancies are at their highest level in many years and retail property is also struggling to provide decent returns. But Sean, industrial real estate and pubs are going well.
Pubs are doing well. Very important commercial property. Well, we all own some via our super funds. The National Australia Bank Quarterly Australian Commercial Property Survey basically says that office vacancies are at their highest level since the survey began. That's 10.5% across the country. Worst hit really is Victoria. The national retail vacancy rate, think of all those shops, that's sitting around 7%. Industrial vacancy rate is just 3.2%. And as you mentioned, pubs are doing very well. The good news is that confidence in the commercial property sector is no longer falling. In fact, it was actually up a bit last quarter. Now, if you're trying to get office space, now's a pretty good time because rents have continued to decline, so that pace of decline has slowed.
Story number 4, Warren Buffett has warned Berkshire Hathaway shareholders that his $905 billion conglomerate has virtually, quote, no possibility of eye-popping performance in the years ahead.
And it has had eye-popping performance. I suppose that's the point. Berkshire Hathaway has too much cash, nowhere to park the money. In his annual letter over the weekend, Buffett said there are very few deals that offer the kind of transformative impact past takeovers have had. Now, Berkshire Hathaway owns insurers, it owns railways, it owns Dairy Queen, for example. It's spent money on a truck stop operator recently, another insurance conglomerate. Thing is, it's still got too much money. Its cash pile is $167.6 billion, up $39 billion over the year. And Warren Buffett can't find good places to put it.
That is amazing. All right, last one. Story number 5, which is another amazing story. Sean, it's quite remarkable this. A Texas man made almost $2 million by illegally trading on his wife's conversations with her BP colleagues. This is according to the US regulator. In its latest case, about couples eavesdropping while working from home. I didn't even know this was a thing.
It is, apparently. For months, Tyler Loudon bought shares in Travel Centers of America. That's the name of the company. According to the SEC, he then sold his shares in February 2023, just after BP announced it was buying Travel Centers at a 74% premium. He made about a $1.76 million profit. Now, the thing is, his wife was then a BP mergers and acquisitions manager who was working on the deal. She was working about 20 feet away in a home office. She was unaware of what her husband was doing. When he ultimately confessed to her, she moved out of the house, later filed for divorce. She reported his traits to BP, and then she got fired, despite there was no evidence that she actually knowingly leaked the deal.
That is an incredible story. Seems kind of unfair too. Anyway, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Monday, the 26th of February, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed Business News wherever you listen to podcasts, and definitely go and check that out because it also comes with interviews, and today's interview is a great one for investors, particularly if you're interested in some of those household names that you hear people talking about all the time. Go and check that out. Fear and Greed, it's called. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.